Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I am Tyler Metcalf, joined as always by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how are we doing?
We're alive. We're alive and well. I take that back. We're alive. Just taking it one step at a time. Sleep schedule's been a little off this week, but it's all right. We've already got people in the chat. It's gonna be a good one. Zach, shout out. How are you doing, Metcalf? How are we hanging in there?
Good. Just kind of running on a lack of sleep and, just overwhelmed with everything, but get to talk hoops for a little bit. So, day by day, game by game, pod by pod, just living the dream. And little switch up with the schedule this week, obviously coming to you on a Wednesday night. Pod will be out Thursday morning instead of Fridays, because I'll be at the Michigan-Minnesota game scouting Danny Wolf and the rest of those guys in person. So Rucker was kind enough to adjust his schedule to accommodate my high maintenance ass. So, I appreciate it.
No, I mean, it's funny how people hear that and they're like, oh, yeah, they're prioritizing a basketball game to go scout over everything. So it's like, yeah, of course, we gotta get there. You sent me that text. I was like, yeah, that's an easy yes. I can adjust. It's funny recording this because this morning you texted me and you're like, yeah, had to pull a late night. I was like, yeah, me too. So anytime we're running on fumes, I don't know what's going to happen with the episode, but it always makes good content. And is it bad that right now I feel like it's like May, like my sleep schedule and exhaustion?
Not super encouraging, but we
it's
haven't
not
gotten
good.
to March Madness or Hoop Summit yet, and
oh man, I'm gonna have an
IV.
I'm gonna have an IV hooked up at the house in June. So yeah, I'm having fun. Got a lot of work to do tonight after this episode, but man, it's getting fun with this class, Metcalf. It's getting fun.
It's getting really weird, and it's getting to that point where I think some really tough decisions kind of have to be made in terms of shooting guys up or dropping them down, and that kind of waiting period of, all right, is he going to figure it out? I think that's kind of come and gone, and we're now at the point of, for a lot of these guys, obviously there'll be some second half risers like, Johnny Furphy last year. But a lot of these guys, it's kind of like we're getting a substantial sample size and we need to start making some tough calls, which brought us to this episode, Panic Meter. So, we'll just kind of hop around, whole bunch of prospects, and give our panic meter rating on what we like, what we don't like, what's, who we're really starting to panic about, with 1 being not worried at all, smooth sails ahead, and 10 being just sell, get rid of all of it. I hate this. This is awful.
Yeah. 10 is Jackie Moon and semi-pro, everybody panic with a bear running to maul everybody. I like this episode a lot. We haven't done this in a minute. I feel like when we were trying to figure out what to do, we were like, it's bad right now because we just keep wanting to talk about the same people and over again because we're so excited. We're like, hey, we have to level it out. And then I was like, we haven't done Panic Meter in a minute. And I actually feel like it's fitting for this class right now because there is some guys that I'm starting to feel uncomfortable about that. I feel like a couple of weeks ago I was fine. And now I'm like, okay, I'm getting a weird feeling. I don't like this, but the sample size is big enough. We're getting to that stretch where it really is like almost like, hey, as an evaluator, are you in or are you out? Obviously, like you said, the Furphy one's a great example. Usman Zhang back in the day, we always bring up like guys can get on a real heater. You don't see it often, but guys can really, pack a punch and start to generate some buzz moving forward. But this is the time to cement yourself if you're a this year guy or a next year guy.
Agreed. All right, let's just dive right in. First guy, BYU, Egor Demin, 6'9" point guard forward. However you kind of want to classify it as. An insane start, skyrocketed up a ton of boards. Now that they've gotten into conference play, numbers have started falling down a little bit. Where are you at?
I think I'm at a 7.
Okay.
I'm a little worried. This is the one that's getting me a little worried right now. And it's weird because like yesterday I probably was like at a 5 then you start looking at the numbers. And I go back and forth, and this is why. Everyone's been ringing the dinner bell about the stats. Fine, I get it. They're not great lately.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of put on the film, you watch the last couple of the games because he was returning from that injury, thrown right into the gauntlet with conference play fine. The last couple of games, the playmaking started to look like what we saw from the beginning of the year. Like there's some ridiculous reads, there's some good feel. So like I'm still buying that. I'm still very intrigued. It's just the shot has been that bad that I'm just like, whoa. I just wrote a piece, noceilingsnba.com, talked about movement times, some risers, some fallers, some sleepers, and his last 5 games, Metcalf, here we go. 7.4 points, 3.6 rebounds, 6.4 assists, which you're like, okay, fine. Just 30% from the field, 10% from 3, 64% from the line. He hit a 3 last night. He went 1 for 4, I believe, off the top of my head. I think that got him to 10%. Like it was literally like at like 6.
We're climbing.
So, it's been brutal.
Getting on a hot streak.
Yeah, I think he was like mid 40s to start the year, and we were like, what the heck? And I don't know if I'm technically in the camp. Like there's some fans out there of like, hey, maybe next year. I don't know if I'm there yet because I still think the teams are going to be very excited about a 6'9" playmaking wizard. But yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable. The Sharks are swimming around my sinking ship right now. What about you? Where are you at?
I'm at like a 6.
Okay.
Still have them lottery kind of like towards the end of a range, like a tier that goes like 6 to 11-ish. So I have them at like 9 or 10 or something like that. It's really, really, really tough. And I know there's been some stuff floating around. I was like, oh, are we sure he's a this year guy? He's a this year guy.
Yes.
I would be absolutely floored if he did not declare for the draft this year, because guys who are 6'9", who are, he's not an elite athlete, but he's a good athlete. His defensive stuff has been really encouraging, and his playmaking is some of the top tier stuff in this class. Guys of that size with that floor awareness, that feel, that passing ability, they're going to go in the first round. Someone's going to take a swing on him. But the numbers are rough. And I've really been struggling to kind of come up with a comp for him. I know the Josh Giddey one has been flying around there and whatnot. But, when you kind of look at his numbers, I'm currently on the season usage of 24.6, effective field goal rate of like 49.5, defensive rebounding rate of like 15, just kind of an average rebounder, assist rate of 35.8, steal rate of 3.1, block rate of 2.9. Those are really good numbers. 2-point field goal, just under 56%, 28.8 or so from 3. Not ideal, but I was trying to figure out, all right, so someone who's been this productive, like as a playmaker on the offensive end and as a defensive playmaker, as a freshman from a true high major conference, who fits those thresholds of assist over 25, block over 2.5, and the steal rate over 3? Because that's where Demin is right now. The names that came back were Cooper Flagg, Ben Simmons, Tyreek Evans, and Kadari Richmond.
Gosh, shout out Kadari Richmond. I love queries like that because you just get the random name out of nowhere. Like, gosh, they were just so productive. Like,
right. So I use that query not to be like, oh, Cooper Flagg, Egor Demin, same guy. Not what I'm doing. Just more so to try and find the uniqueness of what he's doing this year, because it's bizarre. And, Tyreek Evans was an awesome player early in his NBA career, not quite as long and prolific as you'd want. And does Tyreek Evans really do much for you in this version of the NBA? But then you look at Yegor's numbers against top 50 teams, and they're atrocious. They are so bad. In his 4 games against top 50 opponents, BPM of minus 1.3. BYU's offensive rating with him on the court is 83.5. Effective field goal rate of 37.2. Assist rate of 39.7. But turnover rate of 25 and 15% from 3. It's been rough, But then you see the size, you see the defensive playmaking and the offensive creation, plus the rim pressure. It's like, it's tough.
Is he closer to Ben Simmons than Giddey?
Yeah.
Not defensively. But you know what I'm trying to say? Because
Yeah.
like everyone throws Giddey around, and I'm like, well, he's much better athlete than Josh.
Yeah,
Giddey.
yeah. I
Like,
think he's a much better athlete, much better defender.
So I think there's even a wild card hot take, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
I think there's significantly more upside with his shooting than
yes,
and
it's not.
The shooting is so bad right now. The scoring instincts are almost non-existent either.
It's bad. It's not. No, you don't have to ever say sorry. Especially when we're heated on hoop talk. It's bad, but it's not like I don't look at the shot and I'm like, oh gosh, it's gross. Like Ben Simmons' shot, I never felt ever good about ever. It always like shout out KOC was funny. He was just always saying he's shooting with the wrong hand, and after a while, I was like, he might be onto something. I at least with Demin, I think it'll come around. Some staff's going to be confident they can work with it, and the playmaking is that good. Yeah, I would still be like end of the lottery if I'm buying. I would still take him, even if he's having this rough stretch and everything. Now we're going to find out a lot about him moving forward. Like I am going to scout him against Arizona. I'm very, very pumped to see that in person because I have a terrifying feeling I'm going to walk next to him and be like, he is ginormous. Like
he looks big.
He looks huge. So, and it's one thing a lot of people are fascinating about his like separation ability. And I'm like, we have to stop making this such a big deal with humongous individuals. Like if they use their body and know how to use it to get to places, that counts for me. I get it. I'm just a little worried. I'm a little worried, but he's not going back, Metcalf. There's no way.
No, and I'm
not coming from overseas to say, you know what? Maybe one more year at BYU.
But a second year of him, Cannon, AJ. I mean, it'd be fun.
Cannon stays, yes. It would be very fun, but
I think Cannon should stay.
Right now, if he stayed another year, would you have him in that lottery with that class? Big boys coming in that class.
There are big boys coming in every class. Yeah.
Yeah, probably lottery. I mean, top 10, some juggernauts coming in that class. So I don't know. It's just now, hey, if he continues at this pace, you better stay. Because if you're putting up 10% for the rest of the year at 3, I don't know if teams are going to be buying that much.
Yeah, and I mean, he's at, per Synergy, our friends at Synergy, doing awesome work. On all jumpers, 24.2% in the half court. But then you look at his rim numbers, and it's 72.5% overall at the rim. And then you go to just half court, and it's 73.3%. So he gets downhill a good amount. He collapses the defense. When he does look to score around the rim, he's incredibly efficient and incredibly effective there. He's just a little too passive for me right now, where it's like, man, I love that you're finding these open shooters and manipulating the defense and, executing these wild kick out passes all the time. Can we just take the fucking layup?
He doesn't have that little bounce in his step he had in the beginning of the year. And that's where you start digging. You're gonna have to, that's where we start getting the phones chirping, because it feels like beginning of the year he was really aggressive on attack. Like he had that game, he was throwing down dunks. He was like, shit, he's got bounce like this. You haven't really seen that since. So then you wonder, okay, was it something that's lingering? Did he come back because he's trying to get back for conference play? Like, who knows? But I do think the playmaking on film lately has started to look more of the shades of before. Now we just need the rest of the offense game to start just looking a little bit like what we saw to start the year, and then we can start heating up in a hurry. But for now, definitely a little panic mode, a little bit.
Yeah, not great, Bob. All right, let's take our first break, and then we'll jump to the next couple guys. Someone else who I think both of us really liked, and we may be having a bit of mixed feelings on right now, is someone we saw in person at Hoop Summit last year. Point guard for the Arkansas Razorbacks, Boogie Fland. Where you at?
About a month ago, I'd be at like a 3. Now I'm probably at like a 6. It's the I'm gonna beg you to give me an updated rundown on the finishing numbers. I love Boogie. I mean, we did a pod probably 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, I cannot stop Boogie Nights. I absolutely love him. I'm worried that I have him too low." And man, it's gotten cold real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It is getting ugly. So I'm a bit worried. And we talked about, was it the last episode? Yeah, we did the peer review. We were like, hey, actually, this could get ugly for Boogie with teams in the draft. Like he could fall a little bit because of fit, and he's 6'2" and gonna be a little undersized, and like this could get a little scary. So yeah, I'm a little worried. Where are you at?
I'm like a 5.
Okay.
And I feel like if you just look at the numbers, I'd probably be at like a 9.
Yes. Good. I like how you put that.
But like that LSU game from Tuesday night, I just finished watching that this afternoon, and I really liked the process. And everything, the way that he goes through the game, his decision making, the passing, the reads he's making, he's not taking bad shot attempts. It's just not going in at all. And I know there are some issues with the rim pressure stuff, and we'll get to that. But I feel like his effective field goal percentage and his jump shooting percentages specifically are really misleading for the type of shooter I think he is or could be or should be. But he's just one of these guys where it's like, if I just once the ball left his hands and I just didn't watch it at all, and I only focused on, from inbound to the shot attempt, it's like this guy rocks. Like the way he operates the pick and roll, he drives, kicks out, relocates, keeps it moving, cuts, spots up off ball. I really like the process with him, but the numbers are getting to like abhorrent levels.
I haven't watched the last couple games. Need to get caught up on that. I'm trying to get through these last couple film breakdowns for YouTube. Shout out to everyone that's been checking those out. Those are great. It's I'm trying to wonder, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here or if I might be onto something, but it seemed like they were leaning on him a lot to start the year because he was just so fantastic. And now I'm wondering, and he was getting very good production from some, unexpected heroes. Like we love Diero, but he's been playing out of his mind. Sooner or later, you're going to hit that wall. You're hoping as a competitive team that it's not to multiple pieces. But I'm wondering if hey, other guys are cooling down. So now Boogie's trying to carry more of the offensive load, and he just can't handle it right now because
which is what it feels like. Because
and
I think the defense has taken a step back.
Yeah,
these last couple weeks too with that.
Could be from trying to
that usage.
Yeah, the usage, and I still like the way he plays. I still love a ton of his game. And then that's where you also present the idea to maybe a team's like, hey, well, we get him alongside talent with spacing. This could be a perfect guard to groom. So, I don't know. We always have the wall during the college season. It's how long are you in it, and can you get out of it? Can you break through it? That's the big test for Boogie right now. The competition is going to keep getting tough. So how long, can you snap out of it and then go on a little bit of a solid stretch? That's going to answer everything. But yeah, it's been ugly lately. I think I sent you a text. He's 35% in his last 5-ish games from the field. That's tough after you're on a heater, but we'll see.
All right, just to run through some numbers here.
Yeah, hit me with it.
So overall, Boogie is ranking in the 12th percentile in terms of shots at the rim. So not getting there a ton. 3rd percentile in points per shot at the rim. Shooting 36.2% at the rim overall and 24.2% at the rim in the half court.
So really me and 2K basically. Wow.
Then we look at the jumper, and 37% overall on the jumper in the half court, 33.7 off the bounce, 50% off the catch.
Jeez.
Then we look at some of the kind of season long tendency numbers. Usage of 24.2, offensive rating of 115.7 when he's on the court, BPM of 5.7, assist rate of 29.6, and a turnover rate of 11.2. Those are incredible numbers. I absolutely adore those numbers.
Assist numbers, bonkers.
Yeah. So incredibly prolific, high volume playmaker who never turns it over. Steal rate of 2.6, 2-point percentage of 42.3, and 3-point percentage of 38. That's on the season. Solid. When we look at just his games against top 50 competition, though, there have been 6 of them so far. It's tough. Usage is about the same. Effective field goal rate drops to 35.2. Correct. What's more, there's a silver lining here. Assist rate is still up at 27.5, and turnover rate is still down at 6.5. So again, the decision making, the passing, the playmaking, the ball security is all fantastic. But then 3-point percentage of 28.6. So and 2-point percentage of 30.4. He can't score and he can't finish right now.
The scouts are getting a little better. It's what we always say. That's why conference play is good. It's like, no offense to those coaches at the smaller schools, but the scouts get a little tougher when you've got film to go through. That's what that tells me. It's like, okay, not getting to his spots as easily as he was before because now they're preparing for it. They know where you want to get to.
But I feel like he's still kind of getting to his spots.
Yeah, and you like could the way be getting that. Yeah,
pick and roll and he has the screener reset and kind of toys with his defender, and it's not like he's just chucking up everything. I don't think the shot selection's bad. He just can't buy a bucket right now. So I don't know if there's some bigger picture issue with small minutia with his shooting mechanics. The at rim stuff makes sense because he looks small and skinny out there, and some of his craft is there's some stuff in that LSU game where I was like, oh, this feels like Terquavion Smith, where you're taking off super early so you can contort your body to avoid contact here. Not loving that. And that shows up in his free throw numbers too, where his free throw rate is pretty low. So it's like once he gets inside that free throw line in terms of scoring, it's almost non-existent.
He's going to have to reprogram himself. And this happens with young guards when you're just like, hey, I'm not going to overpower people, or I'm not going to win at the rim with my athleticism. He's going to have to reprogram himself when it comes to finishing, timing. He's going to have to get creative because it's like, well, you have to figure out how to finish without, beating people above the rim.
Yeah,
Kyrie's one of the best we'll ever see at that. He has a bundle of tricks to get you out of position, using the rim to protect himself from shot blockers. He's incredible at that. I'm not saying he's going to have to go learn how to be Kyrie, but you have to get creative with that. So it's going to be something that he's definitely going to not solve quickly, but these are also the type of players that have that cold stretch. They blow up for one game, and then all of a sudden it's just, all right, I'm back. Let's roll. So I just want to see with Boogie the rest of the year what we can get. It's always these guards, or there's always this one guy that just drives me insane throughout the cycle, because this is why I like, people think sometimes I'm an analytics hater. I love analytics. I have my whole time working in basketball. It helps you when you're puzzled on someone like this, because you look at those numbers and you're like, these are great and this one's bad. And then the film matches. So you're like, okay, thank you. I like it. But I don't know, Metcalf.
Well, and that's my issue with Boogie right now, is that I think the film looks really good.
Yeah.
But God, the numbers suck. And it's one of those cases where it's like, man, these two things aren't lining up. Because I'm just some of the times where he'll snake a pick and roll and get to that little Chris Paul elbow jumper and knock it down, and it's nothing but net. And you're like, oh, that was sexy. And you just almost kind of get blinded by the next 4 that clank off the back of the rim. but it's really frustrating because the process is good. What he's doing, how he's operating the game on both ends of the floor for the most part is really good, and it shows up in some of the numbers. That end result just isn't there right now.
Yeah. I mean, I love the tape when I'm talking about just the player he's been this year and his effectiveness on the court and everything. There's a lot, like some of the playmaking is fantastic. Like there's very fun potential there. It's just now we're getting a little bit, he's hitting the wall. Got to see what happens.
Quick game of this or that.
Yeah.
Boogie or VJ?
VJ.
Boogie or Seraph?
Seraph.
Boogie or Yegor?
Yegor.
Boogie or Ian Jackson?
I don't know.
Boogie or Phylon?
I'll report on that one back. I have Phylon's literally my next deep dive. The moment the pod's ending, I'm literally doing his video for YouTube, and I'm very excited for that one. Right now, I probably would be leaning Phylon, but I don't know if that's just overreaction mode. The Ian Jackson one is confusing to me because I talked about him in my piece today. His numbers were even better than I thought they were going to be.
They're incredible right now.
Ridiculous. It's like 22 a game or something, 23 a game. Like he's cooking.
Very good.
So, and I like Ian, and he's big, and dude's a bucket, and I think he is a playmaker. I also think the defense is going to be better than the numbers say it is right now. So I don't know. Sorry, I'm going off track. I don't know. What about you? What are those answers for you right now?
Two more.
Okay.
Boogie or Cam Jones?
Cam Jones.
Boogie or Nolan Traore?
My head or my heart?
Yes.
My heart, Boogie. My head probably is going to say Traore.
Wow. Okay.
Now here, I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface this. Traore looks much better today so that's one game. So let me calm down. I still would leave for Boogie. Traore's got a long way to go in my eyes to get back up there. So I'll say Boogie right now.
All right. Cool.
Give me their answers. Come on.
I don't know. I just kind of went down.
What about Ian or Boogie?
I have Ian a couple spots higher.
I think. What about the Cam Jones one? Kind of
same tier. I have Boogie like 2 spots higher. And it's mainly just because of age and upside and stuff. But I really like Boogie, and I just kind of have to keep dropping him like slowly, like painfully slowly, just because the numbers have been that bad.
Would love him in Boston.
Would
love him in Boston. Be perfect there. Yeah, it's a tough one because it could take me a week and I'd be all the way back in now. Like it's just one of those games. But I gotta turn on the tape. Got to turn on the tape and catch up on it because it's a little puzzling because it looks like the team's struggling. It doesn't look like it's just Boogie. It looks like they're all struggling. So it's usually
there are a lot of guys on that
is
team.
A disease. Yeah,
there are a lot of guys on that team proving they can't play.
Oh gosh, I'm scared to watch it do.
It's he's not bad. He's one of the lone bright spots, but you know exactly what he is.
His heater's cool. Yeah, I got you.
All right. Anything else on Boogie?
No.
All right. Who do you want to move on to next?
You pick. Dealer's choice.
Let's go
who are you panicking on? Who are you struggling with?
Let's go with the guy who we've both been kind of down on. Big man from Duke. Khaman Maluach, 7'2" center. Where are you at?
Starting to wake up a little bit. Hey, I'm gonna give a boring answer. I'm gonna say a 5.
Wow. Okay.
You know what? No. I'll say 5. I'll stay with 5 Because I still just think I need more. I need more film. I need more tape. I need more of a sample size. Like, we're starting to see the box scores climb a little bit. We're starting to see the productivity. Like, that's calmed me down because I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, now you're figuring it out. Now the role's becoming a little bit clearer for him, and the team's starting to get him more involved. Now I'm starting to be like, okay, like, I can get into this. Not my top 10. I can still buy into this, but I just need a little bit more than like a couple games. You give me like a stretch run. Give me the Derek Lively second half of the year. I'll be pumped. But I'm just not there yet. You know, and I watched that Notre Dame game. It was like one good defensive sequence, one alarming, like, whoa, okay. And then there was some couple flashes that I was like, that was really impressive. So I get the potential. I get the hype. I just still, in this class, wouldn't be taking him top 10, but we got a long way to go. What about you?
I'm at like a 2 now.
Yeah, see, like, I'm hot. I
coming
feel
around.
You asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have been an 8.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what's going
asked.
on? Like, what are we doing? But so now I went from 8 to 5 in literally like 2 weeks. So I'm trending downward.
So I'm not in top 5, top 10 range, but for starters, he's fucking massive. And
Yeah, not small.
at the end of the day, that can do a lot for you on its own. And he's incredibly productive in terms of efficiencies and, permanent stuff.
BPM.
Yeah,
all that important thing.
all that kind of stuff. And I promise it wasn't just him putting up good numbers against 2 bad teams in Notre Dame and Miami. It's more about how he went through that process, where Notre Dame's record isn't good, but I think they're well coached. I think they're not just a rollover easy team like Miami. But theoretically, the big issue with both those teams, and one of the big reasons why he was able to put up big numbers and, get up towards 20 points on incredible efficiency, was because neither of those teams have any size. But what that also could have exposed him to was really struggling defending in open space. And there were a couple clips here and there where he was a little heavy-footed, slow to react. But I thought the vast majority of his defensive tape in both those games was really, really encouraging for how well he can move and drop coverage and show and recover and defend with high hands and, kind of sit down in a stance a little bit. And then you just see the rim running. And it's like, man, at the end of the day, having a go-to, push in case of emergency, just lobbed up towards the rim and have this behemoth tip it in when you need it, that goes a long way. And I'm just getting more and more encouraged that a lot of my concerns and hesitations with his footwork and mobility are steadily getting smoothed out. And it's almost like he looks healthier and more fluid than he did 6 weeks ago.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's what, I've like coached players like this, like the humongous young bigs. They're so weird because it just clicks all of a sudden. You're like, why does it click now? Like, what you get? I remember coaching this one kid and I was telling him like to do something for like months. And all of a sudden one practice just starts doing it and he's awesome at it. And I'm like, why are bigs so weird? Like, they just take forever. And then all of a sudden everything kind of falls into place. You're starting to see that with him where it looks like, okay, now we're getting the developmental strides. And, early in the year, I was just like, I don't see that yet. That's why I kept saying, like, we have to have a full year evaluation with him, because if this starts happening and it's happening more, if we're on this path where he's starting like right now, I could get him in my top 10 because of the development that curve, his trajectory is going up in a hurry. I just need a lot more. Like, I think the heavy feet are a real thing that he's going to have to work on. Notre Dame game, he got put out on an island and it was just a boom, like a very quick, no disrespect to whoever put that on him on Notre Dame. it wasn't like a Kevin Durant shimmy or anything. It was just a very quick. And he was like, what the hell just happened? And I was like, oh gosh. So, but then like 2 plays later, he comes down and has like an incredible shot clock sequence.
Yeah.
Moving all over the perimeter.
Yes.
And it was just incredible. Like I recorded it because I watched it. I rewound it like 5 times. I was like, that would get me all in. Like, because he was everywhere and his size and his length. I was like, I love that. If I get more of that, yes, top 10 would take that for sure. But we had a long way to go. And bigs take time. He's so raw. I think the last couple games, I think he's like 18 and 11 his last 3 games with a block. Great start. Like, let's just see what we can do with 4 more games, 5 more games, and then tournament time is going to be big for him.
Yeah. That I typically don't like using the tournament as a big scouting data point.
Right.
But I think with someone like him, it's going to be a really, really good kind of test. It's like, all right, when you're not used to or familiar with these in-conference teams and the scouting report isn't what it is, and they're trying to exploit you, and you get this weird mid-major who's going to shoot 60% from 3 and try and drag you out to mid-court to defend. How are you going to deal with it? And can you dominate on the other end? Can you dominate the boards? And I think we're starting to see some of that. So I know we've kind of talked about Maluach a good amount these last couple episodes, but I wanted to bring him up because I feel like so much of our analysis with him has been trending towards the pessimistic. And, when we tilt the other way, I think it's important to recognize that. So
for sure. And yeah, I wanted to spotlight that too. Like, we're never, like we always says, we're not rooting against anyone. We're just like, hey, like this takes time. There's a reason why scouts go all over the country multiple times to see guys. There's a reason why they send scouts at different times to check in on players. Like, my biggest point about him at the tournament is you want to watch him then and then go back and watch the beginning of the year. And if you see 2 different players, that tells you something. So like, I'm starting to see that different player that is the sentiment to like his patience, their patience with that coaching staff working with him. And that's where you get excited and you can start to see the flashes. Like, I think it's going to be fit dependent. I don't think every team's just going to be like, we need him, we have to have him. I think it's going to be dependent. If you need this rim running raw big that you can make things simple early on to build confidence, he's going to be a great potential asset. But if you try to make it too complicated early on, could get rough.
Yeah.
Do you agree, or you think it's just like a?
I mean,
I need you to be more telling me like, hey,
no,
you're an idiot.
Like I tell you that plenty on the side.
Yeah.
No, I think at kind of like a minimum, I could see him being a backup big almost anywhere.
Oh, for sure. I'm just saying, like, starter wise.
Yeah, that's where it comes into. Sorry to keep going back to Atlanta, but if I'm Atlanta, and if he's on the board, it's like, all right, bye, Clint. We got younger you here for cheaper.
I get that.
Yeah,
100% get that.
So
I'm just saying that it's like, well, Atlanta makes a perfect fit.
But even just like as like a baseline of like, hey, we don't need our center to be this offensive hub or this defensive player of the year. We just need him to rebound, make people second guess around the rim and rim run. And I think at a baseline, he gives whatever rotation he's in that without the constant fear of getting exposed when he has to switch or, gets dragged out into space. Will he? Of course, because he's massive and it's really hard for people that size to move like that super consistently in open space defending. But what I've been seeing from him these last couple games, when teams are trying to do that more, he's getting better at going with the flow of not panicking. Of, I feel like we talked about this a ton in the when in Wemby's draft year, where like technically he had a long way to go as a defender. And he always wanted to try and slide his feet and stay in front of guys and not just like let them go by and then use his length to swat everything away. And I think we're starting to see some more of that with Maluach now, where when guys do turn the corner on him, it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm just going to smother you because I am twice your size.
100%. I think that's the next part of his game. He's trying to get that. It's like almost, I like to represent it as like a waiter bringing you to the table. He's trying to do that to players to be like, yeah, come on, like, let's go. But he's like a split second too slow. And it's like, you just need to time that better. But that's with reps. That's why I've been saying, like, let him get reps, let it get experience. Let us get a couple months into the season and then see where we're at compared to where he was in the beginning of the year. That's why I'm so excited to see him towards the end of the season, because that's my favorite part. You get to go back and watch the film again and be like, oh my gosh, look how much better he is. Look how much more aware. Look how Lively was perfect example of that. It was a different human being on the court in the second half here. So, I think it's very important for us to shine light on guys that we're like, you know what? We're starting to see it. It's starting to look great. Like, we're never haters, and it's just evaluating the process, folks.
Yeah. So still a little heavy-footed. Processing can be a step behind. He's huge. And if you compare these last couple games to the first couple, night and day difference.
Night and day.
All right. Let's take our last break, and then we'll finish up with the last few guys. All right, Rucker, who do you want to jump to next?
Will Riley.
Love it.
Lead us. Start us off.
10.
Well, I was going to say 9, and I thought I was going to be a jerk.
I don't think he's a this year guy.
I don't think he's a this year guy either.
Coming into the season, that was kind of my impression of him. I got the intrigue. The shot making to start the year was insanely impressive. But like, even going back to Hoop Summit, I thought he was one of the guys who struggled the most there. He's just so skinny. Really needs to get a lot stronger. I hate to simplify it that much, but then now that the shot's not falling like it was in those first couple weeks, he's not really doing much of anything, and the numbers bear that out too.
I get pissed at myself every draft cycle because I overthink stuff and I don't go with my gut. I drank the Kool-Aid to start the year. That's why I love No Ceilings. You guys,
same. I didn't want to, but
and
he had a huge end to his high school career, fast riser, and that comes out of the gate shooting 45% from 3.
I just didn't like him in Portland. I was like, he looks at least a year away from being away, shout out Bruno. He's 3 years from being 3 years. I was like, this isn't ready. The frame is extremely skinny. He's going to get destroyed physically. He just needs time to mature. And there's nothing wrong with that. I was just like, it's just not ready yet. Like, I thought he's incredibly talented, gifted, beautiful shot, a bucket. But I was just like, the rest of the in-between game is going to be a rude awakening. And then he started out the year strong, and I drank the Kool-Aid because I love everyone at No Ceilings, and you guys always make good arguments. And I was like, I just was out from the beginning. And then I kind of moved them up in like my late 20s, even though I didn't want to. And it's been rough, Metcalf. Like, you look at the numbers.
Do you want to know how rough it's been recently?
Yeah.
So since December 1st, Illinois has an offensive rating of 93.8 when he's on the court. He has an effective field goal rate of 33.6, an offensive rebounding rate of 2.3, a defensive rebounding rate of just 13.1, assist rate of just 13.6, taking care of the ball, at least, turnover rate at 12.9, but not really creating anything on defense either. Block rate of just 0.5, steal rate of 0.6, and shooting 13.5% from 3.
He started out the year in November 15-4-2, basically on 47-50-66. December in 5 games, 8-3-1 on 28-13-75. And January right now, he's 5-2-2 on 30-16. So and the minutes have obviously dropped pretty quick. So there's nothing wrong with not being a this year guy. There's nothing wrong with that. Be interesting to see if he's going to stay at Illinois now, because every time just doesn't have a good year. I feel like people wave that Dinner Bell, I think there's so much talent. It's not now, which is fine. It's fine. We see this all the time. Like, he would be a fantastic, like, he should be at the top of breakout lists if he goes back for another. He should go back for another year, but would be very, very high on everyone's list.
Yeah, especially if he has that classic 15 to 20 pound muscle gain in the off season. He's just not doing anything right now, and it's tough. It's a bummer. We always like these guys to kind of surprise us and prove us wrong, and find success. But I think we're seeing it in his kind of minute share too. That's steadily trending down because he's just not producing like he was. So I think there's talent there. There are, flashes of really high level shot making. I never get the sense that he's not working his ass off when he's out there. I really like the work rate. He's just not directing that towards any sort of production right now.
Completely agree. What else you got?
You tell me. Where do you want to go?
I'm all ears. We got some folks in the chat throwing around Mr. Bailey. We can talk about Ace unless you have somebody else that you want to talk about.
Go for it.
I'm at a 2.
Yeah, same.
Big fella's starting to wake up, folks.
Yeah.
Numbers are very exciting right now.
They've been good. They've been very good.
If you're a stock guy, by the way, shout out to everyone. Rumor on the street is the stock game is coming soon. So everyone be buckled up. We're very excited, very eager. I already know my first 5 things I'm going to do. It's a good time to get in on stock for Ace Bailey right now. I'm just more saying, like, he is starting to look like the light switch. Like we just talked about with Maluach. This is Bailey. I feel like the things are starting to click a little bit. Confidence is simmering. It's starting to boil. The water in the kitchen's starting to boil. You're just getting ready to throw in the ingredients. Like it's some good stuff. Am I wrong? Am I a little drunk in love? I feel like you've been watching some stuff lately and you've been pretty pleased.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar to what we were talking about with Boogie, where not Boogie necessarily, but more with Maluach, where the process feels like it's getting better by the game. And is it perfect all the time? No. Are there still some bad shot selections? Sure. Is he also 6'10" and a really good shooter? Yeah, so it's not always as bad of a shot as it looks like. But like in their last couple games, just the decision making has been a little quicker, where he's making the extra pass and just making the simple play. It feels like he's trying to force it a lot less. Some of the shot making is still there. They're using him a little bit more as an off-ball scorer with, some movement stuff off of threes or, from the perimeter. He's cutting a little bit more frequently and using his ability to, using that as kind of a conduit to generate rim pressure. And then the defense just keeps getting significantly better by the game, where it's getting to the point of him being just a good defender more often than not.
He's still so raw, and I think a lot of people are like, he's had a couple games where there's been some bad defensive lapses, but like,
of course,
we're gonna get those
always,
and you can't fascinate over those without paying attention to like how fantastic the strengths have been. Like yes, I'd love 100% of the game he's lockdown defender. He's still young, he's still raw. He's got to get rid of bad habits that every high schooler has because they play Olay defense because they're an alpha athlete. But I just think it's been so promising, the strides he's taking on the defensive side of the ball. When I was running his numbers, the biggest development, like this one just shocked me. Like December, he averaged 17.4 points, 9.8 rebounds, 1.4 blocks, 3.2 turnovers. 48, 23, 41. The free throw thing's so weird. because in the beginning of the year, 6 games, he was 80% from the line. January,
I feel like that's got to be a volume thing because
yeah,
his free throw rate's pretty low because he settles for so many jumpers. But
January, so like those numbers in December, January, he's at 21-8 in 4 games with 2.2 blocks, 1.0 turnovers. So he's gone down 2.2 turnovers from last month. 42-38 from 3. He's taken almost double the 3-point attempts from December to January, and his percentage has gone up 16%. Like, you just don't see that. Like, it's kind of like, what in the world? Like, now, small sample size. Let's see if that's going to happen. The biggest thing is I love the attempts. Like, beginning of the year, I think his first 6 or 7 games, he was around 37%. So it's like back to that, but the attempts are way higher. So I like the stability. I love the turnover drop. It's just fantastic. So, yes, everyone could say like the assist numbers still and shot selection, like, need someone to make a damn shot. Like I'm watching him pass the ball now way more, and I'm like, just make a shot. Goodness. So I'm still buying Ace. I think he's on the right path, and I think the pieces are starting to fall into place.
Yeah, I just feel very good about having him in that 2-3 slot. I have him at 3 right now behind Dylan because Dylan's been that good. That illness sounded like it was horrible that he
Flu,
had.
right?
Yeah, so
He
lost a ton of weight and just brutal.
Yeah.
But I'm just the process with Ace it just feels like it's getting better every single game. The decision making, the way he's being used. Yeah, the assist numbers are bad, but the rest of that team is shooting like 38%. Their last game where he had like 2 assists, it could have easily been 5 or 6 if a couple wide open threes and a couple layups weren't botched. That's how it goes sometimes.
Yep.
But I don't think he's ever going to be this primary creator, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum offensive engine. That's okay if he's a more athletic Michael Porter Jr. who also defends. Sign me the fuck up.
Do we know how good that player is?
They're insane.
Like, do we know how good defensive high upside Michael Porter Jr. would be?
But like, let's stick on the defensive aspect of that because the Michael Porter Jr. comp keeps getting floated around, which I kind of get from an offensive perspective as just a nasty jumbo play finisher. Michael Porter doesn't defend at all.
He couldn't play his couple of years. They wouldn't play him because he just didn't play defense. They would like,
he had a broken back.
To get him out. Like, yeah, and that too. But like, I think it was at a point too where you're like, you can't play him. He just doesn't defend. Yeah. It's like, that's why pro comps are always so funny to me because I'm just like, you can't use that one if it doesn't really match. Like Ace, I don't know, Mike. I was like, I think he could get to that offensive focal point, but I'm talking 4 years down the road when he's, the game slowed down a bunch and things are starting to fall into place with his frame, maybe, and his strength, and feel like, yeah, maybe I could see you're feeding Ace the ball at the end of a game just because of his shot making. But, yeah, like the playmaking stuff. I'm just fascinated. Like, I keep going back to him playing with Harper and not being the alpha, like not being, it's alpha 1 and alpha 1A right now. And I just wonder if that just takes a lot longer when you're trying to figure out how to play alongside someone that has the ball all the time or whatnot. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Not panicked. I'm not worried about it.
It would be nice if he learned or was at least willing to dribble with his left hand.
There he is, folks. There's the mad scientist. I get it.
That last game against UCLA, Eric Daly, he was in the corner, and Eric Daly was full parallel to the baseline, just like, go. I dare you to dribble.
Was he sending him into help or?
Well, so I mean, Bailey's teammate came over and posted up on that near side block. So there wasn't much of a driving lane anyways, but Daly didn't look over his shoulder anyways. But he was just like, I dare you, drive baseline, drive to your left, and ace. Took a bet. That is an example of a bad shot selection.
Yeah, that is a bad shot selection.
When there's 24 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
But
anybody else? Who you struggle with? Do you have anyone secretly that you're not ready to kind of throw out there? Like, can I just put while we're alive? Let's just see if we can pull out some exercise the demons.
Like who else am I struggling with?
Yeah, who are you struggling with? We don't have to do panic meter for these guys. We can just do a little vent. Welcome to the vent tower, the hotline. Draft hotline. That's what I keep telling you. I want to do that. Draft hotline. Let's get people calling in. We can give them some therapy on the air. Not live call-ins, but
I'm still really struggling with VJ.
Yeah, it's when you kind of see like the trains coming from the tunnel. You just kind of see it coming, and you're like, do I have time to get out of the way, or is it just we're gonna collide? I feel like that is the evaluation progressing forward, where I'm like, this is gonna get uncomfortable, isn't it? Because you look at the numbers, they look good. Like, you watch the games, and I don't know if the numbers match the film consistently, if you know what I'm trying to say. Because like there's some games where I'm like, hey, VJ's kind of not doing much, and then he fills up the box score a little late, and I'm like, hey, but it's still the Baylor thing. I can't stand it. I don't know. Where are you at? Help me help you.
I still have him like late lottery.
Whoa, you're really out. Okay.
10.
Oh, yeah, late lottery.
So
13-ish.
So settle down with really out.
10's a good spot.
I don't like it though. If I in my heart, it'd be like late teens. But then I go back to what you mentioned with that Baylor situation, and I hate that he doesn't have a point guard. They used to
like 4.
Yeah, but none of them pass. And he can't create, we just talked about Ace not having a left hand. VJ can't go to his left to save his life. When he gets blitzed in the pick and roll, turns it over every other time. I don't trust the passing. The shot is all over the place. I feel like his lower body mechanics on the jumper are super inconsistent. And then you see him sky over everyone for like 4 rebounds in a row and get out in transition and make a back cut and defend like a madman. It's like, oh, that's fun. But I really don't know how he fits in on offense. And, we've been going through a handful of like numbers and stuff all night, and kind of referencing different competition levels. And against top 50 opponents, he has an effective field goal rate of 36.8, doesn't get to the line, has a free throw rate of 13.2, is shooting 35.6% from 2 and 25.8% from 3. The block and steal rate numbers are both fantastic at 3.9. But what is he on offense? And I just don't know.
It's definitely a brutal one because, this is what scouting's all about. Like, I feel like every cycle you get a gut check when it comes to like, all right, like, what are you going to go with your gut on this one? Or are you going to overthink it and just, I feel like me and you always have 4 months, I feel like at 3 months into the NBA season, I could be like, what the heck was I thinking? I just felt it and I didn't stick with my gut. And I still feel that way about VJ, where this is going to go down to the wire for me, because I saw him for the year. I loved what I saw. I thought there was a lot of stuff that is like trying to be unlocked when it comes to like the playmaking, the decision making, the creation.
Yeah.
But then like it goes to Baylor, and I've had 2 examples of this in recent memory where like Keontae, I just didn't love at Baylor. I saw him in person. I loved what I saw in person. And then he looked great with the Jazz. And you're like, okay, is it the system? Is it the situation? Jacoby Walter, I feel like we were high on to come out the year or start the year. And then we're like, gosh, it's weird right now. So like, I keep joking, like Scott Drew is just the damn devil right now. If all of a sudden, VJ gets the NBA and just hits it, but he's doing a great job developing these guys. But a lot of questions that keep arising the longer we get into the year, because he's a holy crap type of athlete. I feel like he's almost one of those guys that needs like an emphatic play to get going. Like he needs a tip dunk, and then all of a sudden he just like Bane getting the juices pumping. But the shot, a lot of the stuff's very inconsistent offensively right now. And I understand what you're saying. I don't know the role offensively right now. Defensively, he could be a fantastic asset, but where are you putting him with on the offensive side of the ball? Like, I don't know teams that he fit. He's
not shooting enough. I know he did in Olympics and before, and I loved it.
He kind of reminds me of Ben Mathurin, like freshman year Arizona Ben Mathurin, where it was like there's stuff here. He went on a little stretch to end the season, but it was like another year could do wonders for your game. But I don't know if if VJ's gonna be in that same category where it's like, is he a this year guy? I think VJ's gonna be a guy this year for sure. It's just where does he get drafted?
Year guy.
No, for sure. I'm just saying, like, Mathurin became such a unique prospect because all of a sudden everything clicked in one off season where it was like the body, the shot's consistent, the playmaking showing flashes. VJ's got a long way to go. But I think there's enough fun tools to keep him in that lottery. It's just, he needs to go on a little run. It doesn't help too that Baylor's just a tough watch this year.
They're bad. But the other aspect of that is I really want to bet on the person too.
Yes.
Because all the intel, the work ethic, the intangibles, I know it all sounds cliche, but it's very real. It's all fantastic with him. I think he's a worker. I think he's really smart. So that just makes it tougher, but
it's tough.
Anyone else?
No, I don't really have like a lot of panics right now. I don't know. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Any thoughts before we play off? Any like guys you're liking? Any intrigue or what?
Well, it's getting a little late, so I think it just kind of makes sense to end the night with a good old drink at the green room.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna do it. I knew it. We didn't even plan this. I'm gonna make some music. We're gonna have this thing pop it.
Yeah, so it's the NBA Draft World's most exclusive club. Max of 14 prospects get in. It is not based on our big board rankings. It is vibes, upside, vibes, potential, production, vibes. Currently in there, we only have 6 guys. Cooper Flagg, Trey Johnson, Derek Queen, Dylan Harper, Jeremiah Fears, Kasparis Yakashonis. In line, Egor Demin, Asa Newell, LeBaron Philon, Boogie Fland, VJ Edgecombe. Tough that a couple of those guys we talked about extensively during the Panic Meter episode. Okay, first, is anyone getting booted?
From the green room or from the line?
No, from the green room, then we'll go to the line.
I don't think anyone's getting booted.
I think I'm good with everyone. I know Fears has had a rough week or so, but
I'm not worried about
No,
fears.
neither am I. Okay, line.
Line
Basically,
one more
everyone
time.
from this episode: Yegor, Asa, Phylon, Boogie, VJ. That's incredible. That
I can't believe how perfect this worked out. For everyone that knows, Metcalf, we usually don't like admit when we want to do green room because I like the suspense. And I also think it's more natural. Just got a comment about John Morant posterizing Wemby, so that's got me distracted. Shout out to Jay Anto. I think Jaegor's got to get kicked out. I think he's got a fake, and he's too scared to use it.
Booten Yegor, he's
He's
headed
got to go
home.
home. Head
Alrighty.
home. Got a bad fake ID, and he's just terrified of getting caught. So, he's going home. Got to kick him out.
I'm also sending Boogie home.
I love cleaning house. This is great. Boogie's got to go home too.
He's sloppy. He can't make a shot right now. Spilling stuff everywhere.
I think Boogie got brought out with friends to be like, "Hey, let's get you out of the funk." And I think he got in line. He's like, "I this isn't right. I got to go home."
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 2 getting kicked out.
So once he kind of gets back in the mood of making shots and taking shots, then welcome back in. We'll welcome you with open arms. All right. Who are you putting in line?
I would like to nominate one Rasheer Fleming for the line.
And in case you missed it, I had a pretty extensive write-up on Mr. Fleming over at NoCeilings.nba.com. Go check that out.
I finally did it, Metcalf. I caught up on all of his film. Oh my goodness.
He fucking rocks. He's so good.
Ooh, that's a bad man. He has some posters that are just like, oh shit. Why would you even try? Like, don't even. Oh gosh, and it's just you see it coming, and you're just like, oh, please dunk on him as hard as I think you're going to, and then he does it. You're like, fantastic, and then he hits 8 threes in a row, and you're like, great. Some nasty defense too. Rasheer Fleming sounds like a guy that just like you have to have in a club. He's also just terrifying. He's humongous. I don't really think people are going to give him any shit inside if things get out of place. So kind of a good security blanket for everybody else. Stay safe. And I think just the vibes. We got a lot of comments about the vibes. We need more vibes. And Rasheer Fleming's got some great vibes this year.
You know who else has vibes through the roof and the ceiling is the roof? Mr. Ian Jackson. North Carolina. I'm putting in line.
Wow. Line is getting spicy.
This is a much more fun line than
this line's getting really, really fun. We got a comment about Rasheer being the bouncer. We made that joke about Maluach. Now I can't make that joke anymore because he's playing good. Okay. Who's your nomination get in? Anyone getting in?
Is anyone getting in? I'm going to nominate Ian to get in.
It's if he's not in now,
because we can always remove guys. And if the hot streak maintains and he does this all year, is he this class's Tyrese Maxey? I don't know. I'm just throwing out names. Don't hold me to that. It's the green room segment. We're not liable for anything.
His last 6 games, he's averaging 23 and 4 on 54-42.
I like those numbers.
The funny thing is, beginning of the year, his first 10 games, it was 10 and 2 on 47, 42, 84. And I think North Carolina was like, we have to play him more.
Yeah.
Who else? I just want to entertain the folks. Who else in line would you even consider? Ian has a pretty. Ian's the heavy favorite in Vegas for betting odds. Right
I would.
Segment is not sponsored by FanDuel. No free shoutouts. Who else would you entertain? We are open. We can be bought.
Yeah. Rasheer would be number 2 for me. Then Asa and Phylon and VJ would be further down for me.
Oh gosh, VJ's just really walking the plank right now.
He's getting a little cold out.
Bad vibes. VJ got a call about a party down the street, and he's like, "I'm VJ Edgecombe. I'm not going to wait this long." I'll go Ian because I don't know what else he's got to do to get in. Maybe pass. But I'd also, if you're shooting those numbers, yeah, exactly. If you're shooting those numbers, like what, just put the ball in the basket. Fleming's probably a green room candidate next time. Very serious one.
Yes, I would say he got out of his car service and just went and stood in the front of the line. He didn't bother even looking at the end of it. He just walked up and took his place.
Just for fun, who would be one more person you would nominate to get in the line if you had to right now?
Ooh,
Dink. We got some comments about Dink Pate. His film's going to be coming to the channel too. It's on my list. I just got to get some names going. We got 4 more, and then we're getting into that territory. Noah Penda too is going to be on the list.
If we're going vibes, Mr. Danny Wolf is vibing through the fucking roof right now.
Let's put him in. Let's put him in line.
Fine.
Screw it. We're just gonna have fun with this.
You want to kick anyone else out?
We're kicking VJ out.
Love it.
We're rebuilding the green room. I love this. Oh my gosh, what an episode! All timer. The rebuild of the green room. Wait, the line is like unbelievable. Give me the line real quick, one more time. Shout out. Eric says the line's so hot right now, or the green room is.
So currently in the green room, we have Cooper Flag, Trey Johnson, Derek Queen, Dylan Harper, Jeremiah Fierce, Kaspers Yakashonis, and Ian Jackson.
What a group. Gosh, Ian Jackson's hilarious with that guard trio.
And then outside waiting in line, still Asa Newell, LeBaron Philon, Rasheer Fleming, and Danny Wolf.
That line is incredible. What a line. Okay, I'm going to make a graphic. I'm too proud of this green room setup. Yeah, this is good. Okay, this is good.
Okay, I feel much better about our setup now than I did.
Asa out there, I'm really worried about Asa because his splits are so funny because they're just like identical, but like keep slowly getting better, like efficiently. But it's like 15 and 8, 15 and 9.
It's like he rocks. Huge Asa Newell fan.
Same.
But it's almost a little boring.
It's boring because it's just solid and good, and you're like, okay,
it's
fine.
so incredibly consistent and efficient and productive. It's like, yeah, classic Asa with another 15 and 12. Whoop-de-doo.
I was looking at his splits. I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen this as a prospect. I was like, it's just the same, except like the boards are a little bit more, like a little less. I was just like, man, this is crazy. So, yeah, that's a good comment. Danny Wolf would be showing up with the tuxedo shirt or like something that just says like, I'm here to party, or the party's here. I feel
like a full Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, Canadian tux. Canadian tux. I feel like he's also probably a guy that would show up with like waiting in line with like a 6-pack of Miller Lite. It's like handing them out to people, just high vibe. So, wow, what a great shout out for Danny Wolf. Okay, we got serious ammo. I have to make a graphic tonight. This is fantastic. Good stuff.
All right, this rocked. Thank you everyone in the chat. This was a really fun episode. In case you missed it, I wrote about Rasheer Fleming earlier this week over at NoCeilingsNBA.com. Rucker finally wrote something too. No, he's really good. Touched on a lot of guys. Really good insight over at NoCeilingsNBA.com. Go check it out. He's also been hammering out a ton of these midseason highlight videos over on our YouTube channel. If you're watching live, just hit that subscribe button while you're here. Then go check out those videos. I also did some film school breakdowns on Cooper Flag's record-setting game against Notre Dame, Ace Bailey's big scoring night against Wisconsin. Much more of those to come, but he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker and at Tyler Rucker on Blue Sky. I am Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at Team Metcalf11 and at Tyler Metcalf on Blue Sky. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and a 5-star rating. Until next time.